Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Okay, so obviously, I'm super excited for this Zoom. I've got a little bit of a tan. I don't look as jet lagged and dead as I did yesterday, so we're off to a good start. I am really pumped to talk about some of the takeaways that I experienced. This was definitely a more emotional trip in a good way, like emotionally profound trip, I would say, in a good way. And I'm not just talking about getting lost and stranded in London without insulin. Like that was not exactly the emotionally profound experience I was looking for. But I want to talk about Greece. Greece, my beloved Greece, which those of you who have been with me for a while, you know that I like intermingle all of the stuff from my Greek background that I can on the daily, like a good Greek girl, if you know any in your personal life, all of us, very prideful. So I am excited to tie this into kind of what we deal with and what we work with. And I think it might go a little bit deeper than at least I was expecting as I was writing out today's notes. Okay, so first thing, I want to dive into this. And I have some pictures too to show you, but I figured out my number one takeaway. I don't want to waste time anymore. Like, not that I ever really wanted to waste time. That's always been something I actually detest. It's just my red Capricorn type A, quote unquote, personality. But going to a country that is like Greece is unlike any other place, and in that the honor of the people exceeds what you would expect a country to be driven by, right? Like they have been through some really awful times. They've been invaded left and right. They went, I'm not even talking about the economic collapse that are in a lot of our memories, right? If you keep up with that kind of stuff. But like throughout history, they've had it pretty friggin' rough, right? And then even throughout the economic collapse of the last like 20 years and stuff, the crime rate's never gone up. There is just a certain level of like coming together and being above the struggle that I cannot put my finger on. Like they have a saying it's in Greek and it sounds a lot better, but basically it means you want it, come get it. And I love that attitude. I really love that attitude. So how this ties in is that they really value rest and happiness and culture and experiences, food, taste, all of these things that make us, I mean, they're just like the luxuries of being human, right? And that's been the way they've been throughout history, through times that they've had nothing. One of the things they eat regularly that's been studied a lot, something called horta or vlita. They both mean the same thing. It's essentially weeds that they've just foraged for outside. And Greek people eat this with almost every dinner. It's a big part of the culture. And it's been studied for its remarkable like healing and nutrient properties and everything like that. And why do they eat this? Because after World War II, they were decimated and they had nothing to eat. So they just started eating weeds from outside and then realized how like Greece had some of the best health after World War II, right? They were like, what's going on with the Greeks? And they figured out it was these greens. So it's just this attitude of like, no matter what is happening, they're pragmatic in not wanting to waste time, but not wasting life either. It's beyond efficiency because they're not a very efficient people. They're extremely relaxed. So yeah, Nick is very impressed. He's in the background hearing how fast they like fixed a road. We saw the like traffic stuff going up one day and we're like expecting it to take like weeks. I mean, we thought this is a village. This is going to take forever. This takes forever in the US, right? It was done the next day. Like, how many souvlaki did you feed them? Like, damn. But anyway, I digress. So the pictures that I have along with this, right? I don't want to waste any time because we were there for and this one is not going to go up on Spotify because I am going to talk about some family stuff today. So this is only for client ears. This will be only in the CCA page. But we went there for vacation, yes, but we also went there to settle up estate issues. So In our family, my great aunt has just recently passed over the year and had left the property to my mom. So I went with my parents to like go with my mom throughout Athens and having to go to all the different offices needed and talk to all the different people just for like support. And also because I'm learning as well, Greeks just keep property in the family. It's just what happens. A lot of Europeans are that way. So um, going through my great aunt's estate, which also I went to help her with, like clean out the estate and everything, we encountered just like a person's whole life. You know, like everything that made them them. Their last meal, my aunt's last meal was still out. You know, like it was just such a profound thing to see someone very full. I mean, she was in her 90s, like her late 90s. So to see just the life she lived, to see these pictures of her as a young person, and you know, like here, okay, picture one, do a little show and tell, right? So this is my little Aunt Evgenia. And this is Evgenia at her laundromat that she ran by herself. She never married. She didn't have kids or anything. She ran this laundromat by herself for like 40 plus years, hustled back and forth throughout Athens by herself, right? Lived to be in her 90s. What are we all going to notice? Like, then there's nothing negative about this, but I think all of us want to not say it. What do we notice about little Aunt Evgenia? What do we notice about little Aunt Evgenia's body? Where's her six pack at, guys? Where's the thigh gap at? She was like 70 something in this picture, just at work. There's another picture in the pile of her like walking up the street with like complete sass and attitude, right? So my Aunt Evgenia, you'll notice she is a posing queen, right? Look at this pose. Look at this. Look at this hottie. Also, my point from the last segment still stands, right? Obviously, old photo. So my Aunt Evgenia got polio when she was a kid, and it caused one of the nerves in her one of her legs to not develop as much as the other one. So she walked with an obvious limp, but she also learned how to pose without showing that her stance was off. She learned to just tilt her body towards the camera. Like I found this to be the cutest thing, right? She would just play it up. She wouldn't like let it stop her taking photos. This little old snack. I love her. So, and look, the piece de resistance in the flowers. Look how cute. Look how cute. Little Greek goddess. Yes, she was. So, my point to all of this is as we were unpacking her life, I had to wonder if she regretted living out 90 something years and all that she had done. This woman had traveled all over, everything with like, and the limp is like a big reason why she didn't marry, because I know it sounds crazy, but like my mom is the first generation of my family who was not in an arranged marriage. So when Evgenia was younger, like sounds terrible, but like no one wanted to marry her because she had a limp, right? So they were like, there was like something wrong with her. But that didn't become her identity. It didn't mean that she just strived to be attractive to people and make up for it. And like, she just did what she wanted to do. She was just ballsy. She said what was on her mind. She said, okay, then this is going to be my life. And there was nothing diet about her. And that really, really stood out to me. When she was alive, we had visited with her a few times. And I have a funny story if anyone wants to hear it. I'm just going to say it. So, because this isn't going public, but we affectionately refer to her as hand pie. Because in her old age, one time she cooked for us and served it to us with her hands, like cooked us like pasticcio, like a casserole, like a Greek lasagna, if you will. And like, handed it to us on our plate. So we just nicknamed her hand pie. She was like quirky. She loved to cook. She like just marched to the beat of her own drum to her last minute, you know, and none of it had to do with her being thin. I don't want to waste time anymore. I don't want to not have photos, you know, posing by a freaking car looking fabulous, or like posing by a beach or out in a field or wherever the hell she's taking all these pictures, right? Like all of these things that I think like would make us want to shy away from living a life and having these memories documented and everything. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I think about all the time. I'm like, would Evgenia be proud that I'm doing this? Like, I know that sounds silly, but I just really looked up to her, in her independence, which is not like old fashioned Greek culture was you're supposed to get married, you're supposed to have babies, you're supposed to take care of the house, go to church every Sunday. Like it's a very traditional old school culture, like that generation. Like I said, my mom is the first generation not to be arranged in marriage. So, the fact that none of the stuff that really just the minute bullshit that just trips us up just didn't happen here. Like that's amazing to me. Life would continue, if not be great, without it. That's my first biggest takeaway. Okay. Second of all, kind of going along with this, seeing real bodies everywhere, everywhere. And I mean, like, even the smaller bodies were still real. They still had like hips and overhang, and nothing had to be all toned and tight. And it made me think, like, are these people unhealthy? These people who friggin' hustled up a hill in a sandy hill in 110-degree heat, carrying friggin' bags and an inner tube and a kid, like, are they unhealthy because they're not toned and fit, looking like an Instagram model? You go to some beaches, here in the States, I'm sure exists everywhere, but from what the only beaches that I've really been to, right, are like here in the States, it's so image heavy. People wear makeup and jewelry to the beach. Are you kidding me? You know how many like ladies with like full on bellies I saw in bikinis? You know why? Because it was hot. Because it's hot and you're in the beach and you're going to go in the water and you don't want to wear clothes, right? And they didn't. It just was a complete absence of like body checking and who was appropriately outfitted and everything like that. And it was just presence, just being present with your family at the beach, having a great time. And I think that that was amazing. I mentioned in the chat that I really feel like my mom, in a lot of ways, is just like the client I could never help. So being with her on the beach and like watching her look at every single one of these not small people in really small bathing suits and knowing just how self-conscious she felt getting ready for the beach all the time, and having her ask me, like, do I look like them? Am I that big? Is that what size I am? I get it. I've been there. Body dysmorphia really sucks too when you feel like you look a certain way in the mirror at home. Tell me if you can relate at all. You look a certain way at home in the mirror, and then you go out and you see a picture or you see a reflection and you're like, oh, I look like that. You start to feel like you don't know if you ever look good. You don't know, do I look fat like this? Do I look bad like this? How much of our friggin' time and energy and health is taken up by that thought when nobody from that beach is going to remember you when you go home? And I just feel like the Greeks cornered the market on that, where they just don't give a shit. They're just like, we're at the beach. It's beautiful. It's another great day. It's hot. I don't want to be covered up. Like, who cares? It's almost like you're the weirdo if you're judging them. And like, it was really great to be around. And you can just see it on my mom. By the end of the week, she felt a lot better being in that environment, about her own self. And it was kind of just, it put it into perspective. I'll have clients sometimes say that their kids will make comments about their beach bodies innocently. They'll just like grab their belly or something like that. And or they'll say like, like, you're squishy, or like just kid stuff that I know parents feel like they have to be like, oh, kids. But what if that's just your body? Your kid's not saying it like a negative. Your kid's not like, Ma, this is gross. Look at this gut. Like, it's kind of like the Greeks. Like, yeah, there's gut there. So just like live, have fun. No one's kid is worse off because mom's got a gut. So, number 3, eating is so different there. By the way, any and all questions, please, because like I could just rant about this stuff. Everything I wrote here has a meaning and a point to me bringing it up, but I want to know how this is connecting with you guys. And if you have any questions and stuff, because please don't hold me back from talking more about vacation. So eating is so different there. When I tell you the typical breakfast is a coffee and a pastry. And I partook, and it was great. The way the culture is set up is you have like a carbier breakfast that gives you more energy. And then you utilize that during the morning part of the day where it starts to get like the hottest and you're doing the most. And then midday around noon or something, like you go take a nap. You literally go home and take a nap. Everybody goes home and takes a nap. People on the beach, the people in the stores, the people working in the stores, the owners of the stores, the owners' kids, everybody's going home and taking a nap. They will literally leave the stores unlocked and everybody, no, it's not even, no one's there. No one's running it because everyone went to sleep. It's a cultural thing, not so much in the city. This just continues. This is more of like the outskirts of the city. They still follow this, and a lot of parts in the city. Like a lot of people, their jobs have it built in that they can go home and take a nap. Amazing. Then they wake up from their slumber, which was kind of crazy because I'm used to being like, my hunger cues actually kick in like midday now. I'm not like, I have to remind myself to eat in the morning, but midday, especially when I eat in the morning, is when I'm hungriest. So I was like so stoked. I'm like, let's go get some gyros. Let's go get some souvlaki. I want to go get like some little anchovies and go get some ouzo and sit by the beach. And it was like a ghost town. You couldn't go buy that anywhere because everyone was home napping. Also the portions and stuff, everything's family style. So you don't really get it's like you're eating dinner at home. Like they put the stuff you order there at the table and then you eat from it. You can order dishes if you want. It's not as common. And that's usually reserved for like the high-end restaurants or like a date night or something like that. But typically the culture is a lot of people, they'll cook for their during the day meals because again, everything's closed. And then the morning will be just a trip to the bakery for like a coffee and a pastry or something. And then dinner time will be usually out somewhere. So, I mean, if you're able to, unless you're cooking at home, but it's very like, unless you're going to a high-end place, the food there is very like economical. So you're able to go out to eat with your family. It's just part of the culture. So the food there is just amazing. I love it. I had like a weird nausea thing going on where I was like craving seafood. Like I just love seafood. I can eat seafood every meal and be happy. I know it's not everyone's bag. It's definitely mine. But then as soon as I would get it, I would just get nauseous, which was very upsetting to me. But there is such a freshness in the ingredients. So no matter what it is you're getting, even if you're getting like street food, like gyros, if you will, or anything like that, it's still, they have such a pride in the quality. Like they look down on extra things being in their food. They're like, what for? What are you giving us, the cheap crap? Like they keep it very minimal ingredient, but they highlight the ingredients. Like you can taste the oil, you can taste the lemon, you can taste the salt, the actual taste of the pork you're eating or the beef you're eating. Like I'm like gonna drool as I'm talking about it. It is so different. The produce tastes different. It's so good. It's so good. I put a story up today. There's so much less sugar and stuff. I ran constant low blood sugars. I'm a type 1 diabetic, those of you who know, so I'll give you a little lesson here. When you're type 1, I like to call it pancreatic failure because I think it drives the point home more when you're trying to explain it, especially when traveling. Any of my diabetics watching this, if you want to know about my diabetes debacle, text me. But I call it pancreatic failure because diabetics, people in general, don't just make insulin for the carbs that they're eating. That's when they release additional insulin. But you also have a baseline of insulin that's always being released because there's more hormonal processes for your insulin than just the carbs you're eating. That's also what's regulating your overall blood sugars at all times. So for me, being a type 1, having no insulin production, I have to supplement not only the insulin according to the carbs I'm eating, but I also have to supplement through my pump a constant stream of insulin to keep me regulated between. So this ratio of like the insulin between is different from person to person. That's why if you hear people talk about carb resistance, insulin sensitivity, stuff like that, it's different from person to person. So my ratios are calculated for my body based on my day-to-day here in the US and what I'm eating. And you guys see, I don't typically, I'm more of intuitive with what I eat. And now I don't tend to crave sweets more. I'm more salty, savory kind of side of things. But my point to this is having my ratios set up pretty sturdy. Like I stay pretty even keel when I'm home, right? In Greece, because there somehow is even less just sugar and additives or whatever the hell it is in the food, I had to reduce those daily ratios because taking the insulin I was taking here, still not eating a ton of sugar or anything really sweet or anything, it still was like way too much insulin for me over there compared to my day-to-day habits. So it was too much. It was dropping my blood sugars too much. I was constantly trying to raise my blood sugars, drinking juice, eating things. Do you know how many times I ordered a juice or a soda or something and didn't realize until my blood sugars weren't coming up that it barely had sugar in it? Like, Greece found out diabetes was a problem amongst its aging population. So what they did was make a lot of stuff sugar-free. And it's like not weird to go for the sugar-free option. That's like the normal option. And it's the same price as the stuff with sugar in it. It's not like they don't capitalize on that. It's just very normal that if you can get it with sugar, you can probably get it sugar-free. The stevia doesn't taste like crap there. Blew my mind. I grew up obviously type 1 diabetic. I was diagnosed at 7. So I grew up with good old sweet and low. I know some people love sweet and low. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's like trauma from childhood, but I cannot stand that taste. I can pick it out a mile away. And I've always felt like the stevia here kind of reminds me of sweet and low. In Greece, it doesn't taste like that. It tastes the same. It literally tastes the same. You cannot tell the difference between the sugar-free or the non-sugar product or the sugar products. So I was really trying to keep my blood sugars up the entire time. Crazy. My story today, that big ass juice box I have, the same amount of sugar in that one juice box as compared to the little baby juicy juice boxes that I get. And also tell me why I tried to order those juice boxes from like an online grocer. So I'm like, I must be able to get these. I love these things. Like, I don't want to have to wait till next year. I can't get it in the US without having glucose syrup in the ingredients. I don't know why. Why can't I just get the same juice from over there that doesn't have it in it? It's the same brand, same flavor, same everything, just different formula that on the label it says contains glucose syrup. So food eating so different there. The ice creams, how cute were those little ice creams? So over there you go to a bakery typically, and oh my God, there was a fly that just flew in my ear. All right, one of the downsides of summertime. I hate when that happens. I know it's just a fly, but ugh. Anyway, sorry about that. Why the ear? Why the ear? The ice cream there, like holding it like in case it comes back. The ice cream there is unbelievable. You go to the bakery, they give you they ask you if you want a small box or a big box. And then they ask you to pick out which ice creams you want. And they're all so tiny. They're like individual serving size, like not individual serving size, but they're like fun size. You know, you can have like 3 and not feel bad about it. And again, available and sugar-free, tasted just as good. Like I loved them. Didn't give you the runs either. Imagine that. So love the food there. The importance of rest over consumerism. Like I said, everything shuts down because they want to rest. You know, like what am I, the only tourist that wants a souvlaki during nap time? No. But what are they going to stick around and miss nap time in the heat for a few euro? And I love that. I love that so much. The running joke. Okay. So there is a city nearby my grandpa's village. My grandpa is fucking Fly. Oh my God. Making me curse on Zoom. It's just circling me now, mocking me. Please hold. I have to take care of this. Hold on. Hold on. I don't know where it went. Now it's being an ass and it's just hiding. I'm gonna do my best, guys. I don't do well with bugs. Nick, be on guard. If you see it, you need to get this. I know we're not supposed to kill bugs, but like I'm killing the fly, right? So anyway, there's a city nearby my grandpa's village where our house is now. Thanks, Papu. And it's like the main city in the area. It's like the main hub where they're going to get a lot of their income, especially their tourist income and everything in the summertime. And like, we cannot figure out the hours of the stores in this city. There is no citywide general schedule. It is dependent on the owner of the store. So like, one day I asked around, I'm like, why can't I find the same hours for things? And someone explained it to me like, well, Monday you're coming back from the weekend and you might be a little out of it. So we'll like open a little later and we'll close a little early if the staff is tired. And then, you know, the next day, Tuesday will be our longer day because we were able to rest, unless it's like a saint's name day or unless the weather looks like it's going to be bad. It's Greece. It's like you get 6 days of rain a year, right? Then Wednesday is the middle of the week, so you need a rest. So they'll open later, maybe close earlier. Thursday, same thing as Tuesday. Friday, the end of the week, you worked all week, right? So they're not going to keep you there late. They're going to close early so that people can start enjoying their weekend. Saturday, they're going to open late so people could rest if they wanted. Like, I'm serious. This is the main center of town. This is how someone's explaining it. Like, there's like a Zara there and stuff, you know, so it's not all mom and pop shops. It's just the way it goes. You know, the economy collapsed and they're like, you'll get my taxes when you get my taxes. I grow most of my food. Like it really is an unbelievable place. It's a shell shock and it's very simple. So I'm not trying to make it sound all good, but there's a lot of good. So anyway, next point. I purposely didn't pay attention to the way my body looked the entire trip. Am I swollen? Absolutely. It just happens, I guess. Like, what am I going to be upset about it? You know, it's like I went with the intention of following my rule. Who remembers my rule? Cute on the hanger, comfy on the body. That's all that matters. That's it. I didn't do makeup. I didn't do hair. I didn't, and you know, people are like, well, you can get away with it. Thanks, but also so can you, you know, it really is just a mindset. Now, if you're out there feeling like you look like Shrek and you're trying to hide yourself and you're like looking embarrassed and stuff, like no matter what, you could have been made up and you're going to look not your greatest, you know? So my whole thing is if you just look like you're enjoying your vacation and like you don't really care about that stuff, it's infectious. Have you ever encountered someone like that? That just is, they just are exercising the luxury of just being, and it automatically makes them look better. There is something to it, you know, the less you care, the better you look. And I'm not saying like, don't care, like if you fell into a deep depression off the rails, right? That's a whole other look. I'm talking about like, you can't be bothered with the BS. That has a look too, you know? I didn't really want to walk around and waste any of my vacation on if random strangers thought I looked palatable to them. Not why I was there, not why I spent thousands of dollars to be in a beautiful place, part of the world for 2 weeks, you know, not why I took time away from my clients who I care so much about. I was not going to take that time away to go sit on a beach and be worried about if I had a belly hanging over out of the bottom of my friggin' whatever. Like, I could not be bothered. The Greek ladies there, Greek people there could not be bothered, and it was working great for them. So I took a cue from that, and oh my God, this fly. Did you see it? Did you guys see it watching? Right in my head? Okay. So by the way, this point, I was the damn village superstar with the hair. I was not expecting that. like, funny story. The first day that I got my hair dyed the bright orange, I was walking into ShopRite right here in New Jersey. The fly is coming back. I can see it. And I'm walking into ShopRite and a mother and her child, like this woman, like middle aged, I don't know, like she wasn't new here, and she just stops in her tracks, looks at me like offended, and just goes, "Clown." What? Like I laughed in her face. I was like, "What?" Her daughter was like, "Oh my God, mom, like stop." And they just walked away. And that was my interaction. I find it the funniest thing. How random, could you imagine? But in Greece, I had children ride their bikes across whole courtyards to stop me and tell me in Greek and then in English that I had beautiful hair. It was the most beautiful hair they'd ever seen. It was like all messed up from like the wind and stuff. And I was like, thank you. Then we went to that city that I was talking about before, Halkida, and Nick as my witness. I didn't notice it at first. And this actually brought out some like deep inner, like past insecurities that I didn't even know were still there. But Nick and my family started noticing people were staring, like people were snapping their necks and nudging their partner. And they're like, look, like, look at that, like it was the craziest thing. And when Nick pointed it out to me, he's like, you don't notice like everyone's staring at you. Like people are turning around and like losing their shit. I was like, no, why? And my first thought, is it because I look fat? And immediately I was like, no, not today. We are not doing that. That is not you. Because that was 16-year-old me. This fly, it's right here. I got it. Anyway, I'm glad this isn't going on Spotify. People would be very confused. So anyway, that was 16-year-old me, that like crying, eating 100-calorie pack of friggin' SnackWells. That was me going into diabetic ketoacidosis because I was cutting my carbs back so intensely that I was killing myself doing that. That was me. So I had to sit there with that and say, why is your first thought that you're getting attention for looking bad? And Shell and the fly, the final battle. Oh my God, you're not kidding. If this fly comes at me one more time, I'm going to throw the computer at it. But not really. Like, why was that my immediate reaction? It was almost like, you ever get a compliment and you're like wondering if they're confused? You're like, why are you being so nice? Like stop buttering me up. Like compliments make us uncomfortable a lot of times. And it felt very much like that, right along that same mechanism. Like I had to actively stop myself and be like, no, you've been programmed to think that attention is bad. And not that I like want to go out, I don't know, you see people with vivid hair here, right? I didn't think it was that big of a deal, right? I didn't get it done to be like, I want people to stop and look at me in the streets. I just did it because I like it. Look at the way I dress. Look at my house, the way it's decorated. It's not a surprise. I enjoy color, but not a single person responded negatively. That's only where my mind went based on the past. So my first point of not wanting to waste time anymore, like that really hit me in the face in that moment to be like, there you go. You're done with the wasting of the time. Rock that bright hair. Nobody's looking at you because you look like a fool, I mean, maybe they were, but who cares? So interesting thing. You'd think I would be like, oh, thank you, everybody. You want photos? But I was like, are you sure? And then I was like, okay, enjoy it. It was expensive, So, and then last big takeaway is, and I actually have talked to a few clients about this that have messaged me since I've been back pertaining to food, is I started to develop, like I'm trying to write my book. I'm trying to make a structured program for people to do without the coaching side of things and everything. So I'm trying to really like put titles to the things that I've been teaching for a long time to create chapters around them. And one is going to be the tasting menu. So if you are my clients that got texted about that throughout this week, yay, you have the leg up. But tasting menu, the idea is that we have to make modifications, right? It is what it is. I think that if you approach it like you want to taste the flavors of things and you want to experience things rather than this is my meal, this is my portion, it becomes easier to think about things as not like falling off. But it also becomes easier to order things that might be different than how other people are having them, but it's because you're having a tasting menu. Point in case, like in Greece, I took a cue from the family style way of things. And when we went, oh my God, it's right here. It's right here. The neurodivergence and the fly. That should be the name of today's episode. So, when I went to the same restaurant, like our village restaurant, there was a really, really good one down the block. And I would get basically the same thing because I enjoyed it. And there was like a few appetizers that I got because I like the taste of them. I wanted to eat them all. And whatever I didn't eat, I took home and I continued to eat it. Or my dad fed it to the stray cats, so it got eaten. But my point is, we sometimes get so bogged down by what a portion should be, what a meal should be, the appropriate time to eat it, how to eat it, what other people are eating, that we're not actually picking what we want to eat. And that has nothing to do with what's hormone friendly, what's not hormone friendly, because by default, a lot of things on the menu at these restaurants were quote unquote hormone friendly. Mediterranean diet, right? Like they tend to eat a lot of the stuff that you guys see me eat. So it wasn't even about that. I just wanted to taste a bunch of things. And I think if you bring that, or I bring that home with me here, like let's see, I'm trying to give you an idea of how I do that. So I'll get an order, like a pasta dish that I really like. And it sounds weird, but I'll order it with a veggie instead, like if I have zucchini on the menu or anything like that. And then I will also add my own like low carb, gluten-free pasta of choice that I like to it. And I'll make it my own dish because I wanted to taste it. Along with that, maybe I'll get, like, if I know a restaurant, a local Italian place has meatballs that they don't put breading in. So I'll get a meatball as well, side of that. I'll get extra sauce with the meatball and I'll dunk my low carb bread at home in it. If I see that they have burrata on the menu for something else, I'll order it on my salad because I want a big ball of burrata on it. You make it about what you're wanting to taste, even if you're at a restaurant, let's say, because your food doesn't, like, that's what's going to make it satisfying, not necessarily if it's the meal that restaurant intended to make as one meal. That doesn't serve you. You're paying, you're eating, you're experiencing the after effects. It should serve you. So I don't know if that helps, thinking about it as like life is your tasting menu. Just decide at that moment, like, what you want to taste rather than like, what am I allowed to have? What am I not allowed to have? You can work around that when you're focused on the taste. So we're going way over with this. Sorry, but I missed y'all. So how to recover when you return. Build in rest time. Do not just take your vacation time for your actual vacation. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start to feel like crap at the end of your vacation because the impending doom is near. And then you're going to get stressed because you realize I don't have any recovery time. And then you're going to feel like crap when you need the recovery time, but you have to be on point at work. I did not anticipate getting stuck in London for 2 days. So I had booked in days that I was going to be home, like answering texts and kind of slowly getting into the swing of things. While needing to rest because of jet lag and stuff like that. My plans shifted. I had to rearrange some calls and stuff like that yesterday because I was like in and out of sleep all day long. But I'm not going to feel guilty about that. Like, why can't I just be some robot that can just go for 2 weeks and snap back into my routine? Who can? Like, anyone who says that they're like that either don't have a ton of responsibility, they have a ton of help, or they're just lying. Those are the possibilities, but no one can just go from one mode to the next flawlessly, especially not us. And it's just the way it is, right? The way my brain is the same way. So try your best to book in even an extra day of adjusting after you come home from any trip, even if it's a local trip and it's not about time zones. You just need that time to kind of acclimate. And there's nothing wrong with it. Don't look at mirrors or wear clothes that just fit before your vacation. After. You did not gain a ton of weight on your vacation. unless you were away for 3 months and you did the whole eat, pray, love Julia Roberts thing. And even then I went to Italy and lost weight, but do not come home and beat yourself up like, here I am fat again. Like that's not what's going on. You were just on a plane. Your body is inflated right now. You have the plane going on. If it's not the plane, it's the change in your routine. It's the change in your sleep, the stress of figuring it all out, your eating being off, and having invisible illnesses that none of us chose to have, but they're there, right? You're not screwed because you had a daiquiri on vacation. But the more you think you are when you get back, the more you will be. So avoid mirrors if you have to deal with that change and how you might look right away. And go for comfy clothes. It's your recovery period. Okay. Part of vacation. Drink a ton of water. Just goes without saying, ton of liquids, whatever. And I do gua sha like hell when I get off the plane. I put my little eye bag masks on. If you can remember, this flight was this flight home, even once we got on the right plane home, it was like still riddled with stuff. I threw up like I don't even know on this plane. I got assaulted by the stupid screen that wouldn't stay up. It kept hitting my legs. Like it was a mess. But typically on like a nice flight, I get the little eye mask thing, and right before you land, you put that on because the air just like sucks the life out of your face. So you put those on. I do my gua sha. I try to move. I just use my hands. They're just not clean for me to do it right now. OCD. But I try to just put my fingers on either side of my nose and move them up and down, and then gently massage to the back of my ears, move around down the sides of your neck, press on your collarbone area. You can see how swollen I am still. I don't care. It's so worth it. It's so worth the 2 weeks. But you press on the collarbone here to drain it further. And know that you will return to your normal status even quicker if you don't care about it as much. So text us if you need to vent about it though. How to get back to eating when you feel like your routine and daily structure has been erased. Okay, so here is my formula. I'm sweating my ass off now, by the way. So you're getting a free show. No dinner though. So, okay, make it a priority to stop and shop for 5 safe foods at least. So at least 5 safe foods you're just gonna nosh on, no matter what, you'll use them, eat them, it'll be helpful, right? And 2 vessels. Now, if you haven't seen the vessel Zoom yet, go back and watch that. But you want to pick out your vessels because those are gonna typically be your carbiest things. Those are going to be things like bread, rice, pasta. Those are the more bland base ingredients that carry the flavor to you, so pasta, bread, so-and-so. If you can just have 2 of those on hand, you're already going to be in a better spot because you want to eliminate the need to think about it. So if you can shop for this when you get back, or even better before you leave for like non-perishables like pasta or whatever, you're going to be in a lot easier way. To give you an idea, I'm going to tell you mine. So I had my edamame pasta waiting for me. My mother-in-law was a doll and made that white clam sauce in my story. So I literally just made my pasta and dumped that in there. Easy. And I have the Energy low carb bread. I have that here. Like I had it in the freezer waiting for me when I got home. So those are my 2 vessels. Then my safe foods, I did more than 5. I'm just going to list these off. Heavy cream and teas or hot cocoa or decaf. Like I made a decaf frappe today because I was missing them so much. My Chalk Zero cookie butter. So much. Chicken patties. If you want me to post the brand that I use, I can definitely post those. They're low carb, gluten-free. They're so good in the air fryer. Chicken apple sausage. I don't even remember her name, but I follow that chick that eats the cottage cheese with the mustard and the sausage. She could be eating like a hockey puck, and I feel like she would make it look delicious. I don't understand. But I love the combination now of Dijon mustard and cottage cheese. I know it sounds so gross, but it's, yes, Tiffany. Tiffany, she gets so much like slack for it, but I love it. I love it so much. The chicken apple sausage, I will post the brand, and the chicken patties, I will post that brand as well. But I air fry either one of them really easily. They're good in the freezer, so they're good on, I get them before vacay and they're there for me when I return. Cottage cheese also has a pretty long shelf life if it's sealed, so that was in there before we left. Tofu, I really like the silken tofu in the boxes that aren't refrigerated. They're not like kept in liquid. I get extra firm, slice them up, pour like tahini or like the chili lime dressing, seasoning all over it, air fry them up. It's kind of like, they're kind of like the like fried egg whites when you do them that way. I'm like not selling it, but it's like really good. And it's full of protein. The texture is very consistent every time you make it. That's why I like it. Condiments, like my typical dressing stuff, like the soy sauce, the sesame oil, like I make sure lemons, that's all on hand and everything. Stuff for my nightly salad that I love. I cycle in and out between the cabbage salad and like, now I'm really into the Greek horiatiki salad, which is just like cucumber, tomato, feta, olive oil, vinegar, oregano, and salt. So good. Breyer's Carb Smart chocolate dipped ice cream bars. I knew I wanted to have those on hand because I'd be missing my Greek ice cream. And then eggs. I use them in a lot of stuff. I love eggs. Oh my God, did you see that story I did about the fried deviled eggs? So good. I know it sounds gross, but it's not. It's really good. And if you want my tofu recipes, let me know, because I know a lot of people don't like tofu, but I have figured out how to make it very palatable and at 10 out of 10. And then lastly, I just don't follow rigid meal structure, time structure. I treat my food. I just remember that I'm probably going to be off when I get back. So I just try to eat as much as possible, which that sounds crazy, right? But again, like the stuff that I have on hand, I'm not going to sit there and eat like 5 blocks of tofu. I'd probably puke, right? Like I'm just going to eat throughout the day. If I focus on reminding myself in the beginning of the day, the chances are my hunger cues will kick in and I'll just get hungry and I'll just keep eating. And I'll eat the way my body wants me to eat, and I'll be full when I'm full. And that's all you gotta really do. So as long as you can set yourself up to have food be your priority, it'll be a lot easier. And give yourself some grace if the first couple days back you like depression order from DoorDash, you're gonna be fine. We'll still be talking. You will see another day. Okay. So I feel so bad I took up 51 minutes of your time, but I hope that this was helpful. I hope it was insightful. I want to read what you guys wrote here. Loving this topic because I just had one of those I'm tired of wasting my time wishing my situation was different moments earlier today. And I think it's important to like we validate those feelings because really things can suck, but absolutely, like I don't want to waste my time being bitter here. Like if I can't do anything about it, if I can't spend my time doing something about it, like genuinely, then I'm definitely not just going to take on that pain and that those feelings just because. Why kick your own ass, So I love that. There's definitely that I saw a private message. Lobbyists, for real, that's the reason the extra sugar in our food. I don't deny that because I just can't make sense of it. I really can't. It's just going somewhere that is very no frills, but still puts such an emphasis. I would say because it's no frills, it puts such an emphasis on the health of the people. While I think it would be harder to do that for Greece is the size of Florida, I do think it would be harder to do it for a country this size. It just makes you stop and go, when the health is quite as bad as it is, and there's just so little things being done to make it ever easier on us, And I'm getting why the Greek priest was so mad when we got to Paul's Revelation cave at closing time. He had to get home, get to his gyro, like he had his food waiting or his nap waiting. Yeah, no, Greeks are hilarious. Like they don't care. You could wave money in their face and be like, do this for me. If it interferes with their time and what they had planned for the day, they'll tell you to wait and come back. Your urgency is not their emergency. Like that is their culture. It is awesome and frustrating at the same time being an American and not being used to that. I haven't seen The Fly, so good. I'm just reading through these comments. Oh yeah, okay. I'll post the brands of the foods that I mentioned, and yeah. So, if you guys have any questions about the whole thing, if you want to vent, you need any help, I love having my brain picked on this. I'm always afraid I'm talking too much about it. So please for sure reach out and let me know. I hope that this was helpful and I'm excited to be back. I know I said I was going to cook today, but after yesterday, I was so exhausted. I moved all my calls to today and I just couldn't do it. So next week I will be live cooking with you guys. So see you then. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.